Announced the formation of the Race Team Alliance, a single entity to collaborate on initiatives and issues facing the sport. Michael Waltrip Racing co-owner Rob Kaufman has been elected chairman of the Race Team Alliance. Along with Michael Waltrip Racing, the RTA will include Chip Ganassi Racing, Hendrick Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing, Richard Childress Racing, Richard Petty Motorsports, Roush Fenway Racing, Stewart Haas Racing, and Team Penske. NASCAR released a statement later in the day on the formation of the Race Team Alliance, in essence saying they will hold their comments until things further develop. Rob Kaufman is the chairman of the Race Team Alliance. He joins us here on NASCAR America. Rob, let's first of all start off with the fact that it's been a busy day for you, I'm quite sure. But the Race Team Alliance, what's the purpose and what's the goal of this alliance?
Well, it's actually pretty straightforward, and hopefully the name is kind of what's inside. I mean, it's really a business association of 9 of the race teams, and we hope to bring in the rest of the major or the rest of the full-time garage members in short order. Really to put together for the first time an organization where the teams can kind of work together on issues of common interest. And of course, one of the big issues of common interest is growing the sport and trying to make it more popular and try to have a good long-term business and practices for the teams. And there's a lot of work to do. So I think it's exciting and there's a lot to work on.
I guess the first thing that jumped out to me is why now? Why the timing right now?
Well, there's no specific catalyst that really created it now. I think it's really been a long time in the making. I mean, I'm probably one of the newer team owners, only being 8 years into it, you know, compared to Richard Petty and Richard Childress and the like. But you know, there's been a number of initiatives over the past couple of years, partly, you know, prompted by NASCAR as well as the manufacturers for the, you know, forums to get together and discuss issues and technical changes. And I think, you know, for example, the Gen 6 car and the success around that was a result of a lot of collaboration. And this really just formalizes, you know, something that was kind of in the works for some time. So I think, you know, the key word for us is collaborate, really. The idea is there's so many things we can do together to improve the things overall that it's really kind of exciting to be part of it.
So that leads us to the next question. What's the next step? And is there a planned meeting with NASCAR between the two organizations?
Well, the NASCAR folks are, you know, fully aware of what we're doing. We've been in communication with them, and I think, you know, you've seen their responses. I mean, they're aware of it. I think, you know, the important thing to remember is, you know, today's their, you know, birthday. This little organization was just born. So we have, you know, a lot of work to do, and we're just going to go step by step. So our first stage is really, you know, focus on things that we ourselves really are in our own control. So, for example, you know, we want to extend out membership to those who are interested that are the rest of the teams in the garage and get everyone kind of on board who wants to be. And then work on things that we can do. I think there's a lot of things around, you know, expenses and travel.
You've been adamant in interviews today that this is not a union. How is it different than a union?
Well, first of all, I have nothing against unions. My family members are teachers, and they're in the union, so I don't have anything against unions by any means. It just isn't accurate. Unions are for employees, and you know, I'm not an employee, neither are the teams. So the teams are independent businesses. So if you want to characterize it, the most accurate thing would be to call it a association, which is what it is. And technically, it'll be a not-for-profit business league, most likely, and it's, you know, a collaboration of people who make a common product, right? So it's more of an industry group than it is really employees trying to do something with their boss.
Well, Rob, we appreciate your time today, and we will see you in New Hampshire.
Sounds great. Look forward to it. We could use another trophy from there.
Now let's bring in our NASCAR America contributing reporter, Nate Ryan. Nate, you've heard the reaction from throughout the garage area today. You've heard what Rod Kaufman had to say. So what has the reaction within the garage area been?
Marty, I think it's been fair to say there's been some surprise and certainly a lot of curiosity about what the RTA means. I think there's 2 reasons for that. One, if you look at the names involved, it's all the heavy hitters in NASCAR, so it certainly is all-encompassing and would send some big waves through the garage. And, you know, 2, the timing of it, I think, is interesting, coming at mid-season and with a lot of things going on. I think people are curious as to, you know, why now?
What have owners said about this, both within the alliance and outside of the alliance? What are they saying about what's going on?
There's been no feedback, Marty. I contacted all 8 teams outside of Michael Waltrip Racing that are involved in the Race Team Alliance, and all of the ones that have responded, which are nearly all of them, said that they deferred to Rob Kaufman. So not only is he the chairman of this organization, but he's also the primary spokesman and will be speaking for all of them.
So what are you hearing happens next in this whole process?
Rob Kaufman said his first order of business is to develop a plan of attack for trying to reduce costs for team owners in hotels. He said when team owners first began meeting, and by the way, this was at NASCAR's request a couple of years ago, that they encouraged team owners to talk about how to minimize costs. One of the first things they looked at was, how many employees do we have and how many nights are we spending in hotels on the road, and they couldn't answer either of those questions definitively. So Rob Kaufman wants to figure out how many people are on the road each year, how many nights are we spending in hotels, and then he wants to put out a request for proposal to major hotel organizations to see if they can't find a way as a single entity to kind of maybe get better deals for NASCAR teams on the road and perhaps form some partnerships in the process that could also be lucrative.
Well, Nate, we appreciate your time. I'm sure you've been burning up the cell phone minutes this afternoon, and I'm sure we'll see you in New Hampshire as well.
Appreciate it, Marty. Thanks.
Love to get the reaction from you guys now. Ricky, you not only drove, but you were a team owner as well. So your reaction to today's news of the Alliance?
Well, I think it's a good thing. I think it's some stability for the future of the sport. A lot of money gets invested in these race teams, and they're looking many years out in the future. They're not just looking at tomorrow. And I think it makes sense. What he's talking about doing is getting everybody to come together as a group.
Bobby, your reaction?
Well, too, and then, like you said, NASCAR actually asked for this a couple of years ago. And like Rob said, it's also going to be for the fans. I mean, as they put this together, there's been a lot of work to be done from now till the beginning of the year, say, next year. But if they put it all together, I think it's going to be better for the fans as time goes on. Fair
to say, if everybody's working to a common goal, and I'll get reaction from both of you, that's good for everybody, especially the fans, right, at the end of the day.
Well, I think the bottom line is they got to make this racing exciting for the fans. If not, they're not going to show up. They're not going to watch it on television. So, I think the common goal is to make the sport better, and that's what I think this should hopefully accomplish.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. I think there's a lot of positives in it. There's a way that we can see this as fans as the sport grow, continue to grow throughout. And I think Rob and they've got a great idea, and I hope that they and NASCAR can get together and make it all happen.
All right, we'll certainly keep you posted as this story develops over the year. How appropriate was it at Daytona? The 43 was in victory lane as the legendary voice of NASCAR. Barney Hall of MRN Radio called his last race of his career. Coming up, we'll relive